You know what you're listening to?
Next question.
It's Dan Patrick On Demand. Thank you.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, you know, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Here he is, joined by the four Danettes. It's Dan Patrick.
It's hour 2 on this Thursday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Spent some time first hour recapping what happened last night. All the people with 20/20 hindsight, they should have started Clayton Kershaw. Well, you can say that now. They made the right call putting Yu Darvish out there. Now, I know he didn't pitch well, but on normal days rest, he was ready to go. He's an all-star pitcher. This is why you brought him in, and he did not pitch well, obviously. Kershaw pitched well in relief, went out there with no pressure on him when you're down 5-0, and pitched well. But I don't think you can look at this and say, well, if you started him and you got those 4 innings, then you could have brought in your other pitchers. You can say that now. Who said that before Game 7? Congrats to the Astros, though, beating the Dodgers, and George Springer, rightfully so, your MVP. This was a story where a couple of people looked at this and said it's like the New Orleans Saints with Hurricane Katrina. The Houston area endured Hurricane Harvey. This is from USA Today. A Category 4 hurricane that brought winds in excess of 130 miles an hour. Dumped trillions of gallons of rain, led to 82 deaths in that region, cost an estimated nearly $200 billion in damage. The Astros, who were on the road when the hurricane hit landfall in August, played a 3-game series in Tampa before heading to Minute Maid Park September 1st, 8 days after Harvey struck. A.J. Hinch, the manager of the Astros, joined us last week. And he said, look, it's not lost on us that we know we're trying to win a World Series, but there's more at stake than just winning a World Series. We're representing an entire area that got devastated there. And he said he didn't realize the devastation until he was driving home one day and realized that from where he lives to where he was driving from, all of the exits in the highway were closed. All of them. And he said it's probably a 25-mile drive, and they were all closed because of the damage there. So the Astros, are they a dynasty? On the verge of being a dynasty. A lot of young talent there. And that would be the question. Verlander at 34, you still have Keuchel. Morton, I fell in love with Charlie Morton. I did. And McCullers is fun, you know, and he pitched out of trouble there. I know he hit 4 batters, but I don't know. They're going to shore up that bullpen, but that lineup's great, and it's young and a whole lot of fun there. All right, we say good morning to our radio and TV partners. Our TV partners, DirecTV, the Audience Network. That's Channel 239 and the NBC Sports Network. If you'd like to call, you can, 877-3DP-SHOW, and our Twitter handle at DP Show. Coming up, the man who predicted all of this 3.5 years ago. Works for Sports Illustrated, Ben Reiter. He said Astros would win the World Series in 2017. And does he get a World Series share from the Astros? Does he get a ring after predicting this 3.5 years ago? Tonight, it's the Bills and the Jets. And I'm looking at the Bills' schedule here because McLevin says, yeah, everybody's excited about the Bills, but who have they really played? All right.
I didn't want you to say that on air because I don't want to be the one to pop the Bills balloon.
Okay, but this would be that against the grain that you're used to be known for.
One of my favorite tricks is to say they haven't beaten anybody. They haven't beaten anybody guy.
But they're 5-2. They just went out and got Kelvin Benjamin, who might play tonight. I'm going to guess they run a couple of routes where it doesn't matter if you know the plays or not. You'll just say, Kelvin, go down 7. Like when you play on the street. Hey, go down to the blue car and then do a button hook right by the manhole cover. That's probably what they'll be able to do with the Jets tonight. But I'm looking at the Bills' schedule now. They're all in. They think they're a playoff team. They got the Jets, Saints, Chargers, Chiefs, Patriots, Colts, Dolphins. And I'm looking at this and saying, all right, can you end up with 10 wins? I'm saying, yeah. The Bills can end up with 10 wins. Will 10 wins put them in the playoffs? But McLevin said they're not that good a team because they haven't played anybody.
I'm just saying they haven't proven it yet. I mean,
but that's sort of saying that.
The thing that's weird about them is it felt like they were sort of rebuilding. They let Sammy Watkins go. They let Stephon Gilmore go.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm having trouble. But the teams they beat looked like they were going to be good, and none of these teams are good. Oakland, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Denver, and the Jets. Like, all those teams are now like 2-5.
Well, we look at it now, but at the time when you're beating Denver or beating Atlanta in Atlanta, and then you're going, okay. I mean, I beating Atlanta in Atlanta is still impressive. And Denver's a good...
Denver's not good.
Well, their quarterbacking situation's not good. But Buffalo is a fun team to watch.
You know, you always warn me, don't look at strength of schedule before the season because you have no idea.
No, and
that's
people,
last year.
Somebody will go, boy, they got the easiest schedule. And every year in the NFL, there's always somebody who's going up and somebody who's going down. So when you think, boy, that's going to be a great matchup, and you go, no, it's not. Yeah, Paulie.
Andrew put out a poll. What's the team that's like the Astros, like the Cleveland Indians, like the Cubs, where everyone would root for them? If it was between the Cleveland Browns, the Buffalo Bills, and Detroit Lions, the most rootable for team to get a title. Now, historically, Lions feel historically, but then the Bills lost 4 in a row.
But they got to 4 Super Bowls.
To 4.
See, that's the difference. The Lions hosted a Super Bowl.
They've never come close to attending one.
No. The Bills have been in 4 Super Bowls, and it's a great football environment there. I'd like to see them make the playoffs, but if you said I could pick between the Bills and the Lions, I'd want the Lions to win a Super Bowl.
But the Lions have been a nice team for the past decade. They haven't been in the past 5 years. They haven't been embarrassing the past 5 years. They're a competitive team. The Browns they feel like they're further away from the Super Bowl than they were 5 years ago.
They can't even make a trade. And then there's a lot of people saying that maybe this trade was sabotaged with the Bengals by the front office. Yeah, that's what happened. Because Hugh Jackson, every time he wants a quarterback, the front office sabotages him. It's not that Hugh doesn't know when he sees a good quarterback. It's management doesn't know when they see a good quarterback. And I think that's what happened. Now, do I think A.J. McCarron is the answer in Cleveland? I do not. And you're going to give up a second and third for a guy who I don't think's as good as Jimmy Garoppolo, and the Niners only gave up a second-round pick. Yes, McLevin.
It's interesting with the Browns, say they do get the number 1 or 2 pick. If you're Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold, do you sort of have cold feet about entering that situation now, considering it looks dysfunctional?
If you have a chance to be the number 1 pick in the draft, then you go.
There actually is, and the reason I brought it, there's a report that Sam, and I don't know if it's true, that Sam Darnold will look at the Browns and see where the Browns are before he declares.
How many years in a row can he do that? Can he stay 7 years at USC waiting for the Browns to get out of the basement?
I also picture those two guys as real LA guys who might have trouble playing in a cold weather city, but that's probably stupid because I know other LA quarterbacks have done it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would label them, profile them that way. But yeah, if I'm Sam Darnold, I don't think Sam Darnold's ready right now. And I don't think you're ready for Cleveland right now. You could be ready to play football, but you got to be ready for the environment in Cleveland. And it feels toxic. Although they got Josh Gordon back. He got reinstated. He got quietly reinstated. And I said to Paulie, would you look at Josh Gordon's stats? Now, he's 26 years of age. He had an unbelievable season at age 22. He only played in 14 games. He had 87 catches, 1,646 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Now, let me tell you the quarterbacks he had. Jason Campbell, Brandon Weeden, Brian Hoyer. And he put up those numbers. He's 26 years of age. He's been in the substance abuse program here for a few years, in and out. I don't know if they have is there a final strike, a last strike here, McLevin? Because he got suspended for a year for pot. And then I think he also tested for alcohol. And even in this program, you can't test positive for alcohol either.
Did Ricky Williams get the final strike? And then I think he came back after it. But I remember he was suspended or booted from the league. I'll find that out. Remember Ricky Williams failed a million tests too?
I don't think he even cared anymore. But Josh Gordon is back for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know when he plays. Here's another thing that I heard. That the Niners aren't sure if they're going to play Jimmy Garoppolo this year. What? Really? Are you tanking?
He's well rested.
Yeah, I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess his shoulder's healed, but there was talk that maybe he doesn't play the rest of this season. And I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of strange. I think you'd want to at least have him in there
If
just to get used.
If
to
Jay
it.
Cutler can come out of the broadcast booth, which he was never in, and within 2 weeks be ready to take over the Miami offense, why couldn't Jimmy Garoppolo take 2 weeks to take over the San Francisco
he
offense?
can. It's not that. It's they wanted to protect him, is what I read. Now, there's only one report on this, but I can't imagine that you're going to trade him and all of a sudden have him on the sidelines with a clipboard and saying you're going to back up C.J. Beathard.
Do you think they could be thinking, hey, we still want that number 1 and number 2 pick of the draft because it is tradable? Look what they did to the Bears last year with the trade.
If he doesn't play the rest of the season, then that's what the Niners are doing. But I still believe with what happened with these quarterbacks, the fact the Browns were trying to go all in on A.J. McCarron, the Niners got Jimmy Garoppolo, that tells you everything you need to know about this quarterback class coming out. Yeah, Fritzy.
I don't know what they would be protecting. At least it's a win-win situation as far as Garoppolo. The fans need a change. They're excited about Garoppolo coming. It can't get much worse, so he could really only improve the team. So just get him out there as soon as possible.
Maybe they don't want to improve. Maybe they want to wait till next season to improve.
Then the fans should not go to another game this year. If you're of the belief, if a fan is of the belief that they're not trying to win games and it's just to try to get some draft pick, which
well,
may
they're
or may
trying
not work
to
out.
win. It's just they might not be trying to win now, as they traded for Garoppolo. If they weren't trying to win, they would have remained status quo. Yeah, McLovin.
Todd is wearing the hat of a team that completely tanked for multiple seasons.
And that's why they're World Series champs.
I thought they were just that bad that they just lost 100 games trying their hardest.
No, that's what the Cubs did.
They just weren't good enough.
No, the Cubs did the same thing. They got rid of everybody, they tanked, and then used all these high draft picks and brought in talent. Yeah, Paul.
Theo Epstein even said when the Cubs did this, we are not going to be good. Be patient. He was not even hiding it.
All right, do we have an update poll results there, McLovin, from the first hour? Are we going to stay with that poll question?
Yeah, we could jump into a much more controversial topic, yay or nay on Carlos Correa. There's been a lot of tweets after our conversation on that, but right now I have up, who do you want to see win a title?
Well, give me some of those tweets.
I will. Right now I have, who do you want to win a title? The Eagles just passed the Indians. People might misinterpret it as who will win the title next.
Yeah. Who do you want to win?
Then it's the Bills, Lions, Browns, and I put in the Maple Leafs just because they're famously give Canada a little love.
All right.
They're last.
We'll take a break here. We'll get to phone calls, got your tweets. I didn't think Carlos Correa should have gotten engaged last night after the game. Have your own special day for the engagement. I was overruled by the Danettes. Overwhelmingly overruled by saying, no, you're saying to her, I just won the World Series, but you're more important. Or I want you to share in this special day. Yeah, Paul.
I do agree, though, doing it in a public place sets you up for disaster. Can set you up for disaster. Last night, it worked out perfect for him. But imagine if it went the other way mid-interview. Because he was also being interviewed. He wasn't off to the side.
Well, I know, but I'm going to guess that, did you see the size of that ring? It might have been one of those where you say, yeah, and then privately you say, I'm just not ready yet. That ring was unbelievable. That's probably bigger than the World Series ring that they're going to get. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll get to your phone calls. Got a lot of things to talk about. We'll do so next here on the Dan Patrick Show.
Bluehost is a top-rated website provider powering over 2 million websites. And whether you're a blogger or a small business owner, Bluehost has everything you need to build the website you've always wanted. Bluehost is the best tool to build, host, and manage your personal or small business website. Bluehost gives you the freedom to design your website your way without being limited by templates and makes hosting your website stress-free so you can get back to what matters most. Simple enough for beginners and powerful enough for even the most advanced users, the ultimate in flexibility, control, with fully customizable templates and third-party app support, true reliability with a 99.9% uptime guarantee and automated updates, maximum security, including malware monitoring and protection, and automatic secure WordPress installs, 24/7 tech support and online resources, and expert services to help you succeed and save time. Bluehost is the top recommended WordPress host on WordPress.org since 2005. And listeners of the Dan Patrick Show save 50% when you sign up at Bluehost.com/Dan Show. That's 50% off when you sign up at Bluehost.com/Dan Show.
Napa spot number NHVM 0691000. Good deal car. 30 seconds.
Napa know-how. There are lots of amazing cars on the road, but perhaps none more amazing than the paid-off car. It may not be pretty, but the price is right. Heck, if you keep that thing running, it'll actually start paying you. Because with Napa Rewards, for every $100 you spend, you'll get $5 off. So keep your car running longer, stronger with Napa Rewards and watch the savings start rolling in. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa Know-How.
Got something I've been working on for a couple of years now, and we finally got it finalized. Working with Full Sail University, we've created a degree designed for the next wave of sportscasters, combining decades of expertise that my fellow sportscasters and I have built our careers on. You're going to get hands-on experience with technology shaping the industry, because in order to succeed in this business, you have to always be ready for what's next. If you ever wanted to get into sportscasting, we're going to give you the truth, and you'll get experience as you'll get a degree in sportscasting. Full Sail University, we've launched the Sportscasting Bachelor's Degree. You work both on and behind the camera, building skills for the future of sports, so you can connect with audiences no matter where they are or how they're tuning in. Learn more about the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting at Full Sail University, or visit fullsail.edu/sports. Have you noticed the new trend? And it's the future. These 6-second spots that Fox would just sort of slip in. You know, there'd be Brian McCann going to the mound to talk to Lance McCullers, and then they would slip in a 6-second commercial. This is found money. By the way, YouTube TV, I don't know what you paid, but I'm guessing you got your money's worth there. But isn't it? Here's Fox, who's showing you this, paid all of this money for the World Series. But YouTube TV is competition, and you still take that ad money there. And then you have these other ads. NBC will do this, I'm sure, for the Olympics and the Super Bowl coming up, where you sort of slide it in. It's not intrusive. You know, it's not. Yeah, I can listen to a local broadcast, and it'll be every move is brought to you by. This call to the bullpen brought to you by. This was just sort of subtle, slipping in. YouTube TV, not subtle. But that was just, we're going to slip it in, and then we'll bring it right back out. Yeah, Paul.
I've always thought that NASCAR is so far ahead of other sports with this. I can remember a decade plus ago, you'd be mid-race, and instead of going away from the race, they would split the screen and do a Subway ad. And then you'd see the race still going on. So instead of a full minute commercial break, 2-minute commercial break where you have a chance to turn the channel, you eliminate that.
Yeah.
And you get more people watching your ad. It's
Yeah, Fritzy.
Would you feel compelled to play off it at least once in a while, or totally ignore it like it's not there? Like it comes back
depends.
from Duracell and you got to make some kind of, they got to get their batteries charged, you Darvish, or some kind of...
No. That's cheesy. But if there's something there that lends itself, Jim Parsons and the Big Bang Theory folks are at a game, and then you could say, the Astros with a Big Bang offense, or they could use a Big Bang here. Or Sheldon could diagram launch angle here, something. And, Joe Buck had a great World Series. You can sort of tie it in. Smoltz had a little bit of fun with it. But, no, I wouldn't feel obligated to all of a sudden, this call to the bullpen brought to you by Subway, and then you somehow slip in a Subway reference. Yeah, Paul.
Top of the ninth inning, there was a Duracell ad, and it said, for the final time, Duracell. And Smoltz goes, how do they know it's the final time? This could go extra innings. I mean, it looked like the game was over, but there was a chance it was not over.
Yeah, see.
The Yankees either used to do or still do. Every time somebody was caught stealing, it was a low jack caught stealing moment. And you're like, how many times a year does that happen that you actually you catch somebody stealing? It's not that often. How do you even charge for that? How do you figure out how much you're paying for it?
Yeah, I don't know if you reach a certain number, then it's going to be this. If it's
the low jack caught stealing moment. Oh, you got him.
This call to the bullpen. I like when this kickoff brought to you by Budweiser. As if Budweiser didn't sponsor it, there'd be no kickoff. Yeah, Paulie.
I know this is different, but being wordy, I had to call a hotel the other day. You ever call a hotel and there's like a 30-second intro? Hi, welcome to the Hilton Garden Inn, where we hope your day is pleasant and spectacular. It's 35 degrees out. How can I help you? Yeah. They have to answer that every time.
I hate that.
Well, I feel bad for the person because they have to do that maybe 700 times a day.
I had a job when I first got into radio, or I was an intern, and I had to say something extremely long like that. And probably 5 times a day, I had people say, do they make you say that? I go, oh my God, they make you say that every time you answer the phone? I'm like, yeah, yes, they do.
Odds to win next year's World Series. The Dodgers are the favorites, followed by the Indians, then the Astros, the Nationals, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, and then it dips down. So those are 10-1 or better. Then it's the Mets at 20-1, which is surprising. With the Mets at 20-1, the team with the longest odds to win the World Series next year? Anybody? Your Detroit Tigers, 300-1. Padres, 80-1. Same as the Reds, Phillies, Athletics. The Twins at 80-1. I thought the Twins were on the verge of something here. Kansas City Royals also in there. So those are the odds to win the World Series next year. A couple of phone calls in here. Tyrell in Michigan joins us. Tyrell, welcome to the program. What do you have?
Hi, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Just wanted to call and congratulate Justin Verlander for winning the World Series. As you just said, I'm from Michigan, and you just said the Tigers odds are 300-1 to win, so that's kind of tough. But he's been to 2 World Series with us, and they both were disappointing. So for him to finally get it done in his Hall of Fame status, it's actually pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong, I was rooting for the Dodgers, so I was going to congratulate Fritzy into those jokes a few moments ago. So I don't think I'll do that, but yeah, just basically happy for him. I mean, it's been tough. He was actually forgot about, and then we paid him so much money here, and then he left. So for him to finally get it done is great.
All right. Well, thank you, Tyrell. I don't feel sorry for Justin Verlander. Last I looked, he's making $20 million, and he's going to get married to Kate Upton in a couple of weeks. He might be getting married next week in Italy. He would miss the parade. That's not bad. That's not a bad week for a couple of weeks for Justin Verlander. I mentioned I didn't like the Correa engagement. Some people tweeted, I feel like they already had like a memo of understanding on the engagement time and place. Good for Correa. The real question is, what does he do if they don't win? You hold on to the ring and wait. The heart wants what it wants. Sports and romance don't mix. This is up there with fan proposals. And the Banana King tweets, there's a lot of times not to propose to your girlfriend. I thought that this was one of the better times to propose. All right. You got to have a special day for your engagement. That's the way I look at it. Women like to celebrate a lot of times. And you have the engagement, that's different than the World Series. I wish them nothing but happiness. And I want to find out where they're registered. Let's see. Ron in Florida. Hi, Ron. What do you have for me today?
I'd say Garoppolo. I wouldn't play him this year.
Yeah?
Wait for next year. 0-7. Get a lineman. Protect him. Sit the future. They got nothing going on anyway. And John Lynch ain't a bad GM. He's a smart football guy. Let him build a team around what they got there.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I only saw one article that said that they might not play him this year. I'd be very surprised if that was the case. Matt in Maryland. Hey, Matt, what do you have for me today? Hey, Matt. Gone. We'll take a break. More phone calls coming up. Ben Reiter. In there's a reader and a writer.
Bill Reiter.
Bill Reiter is on KLAC, isn't he?
Yeah.
Radio host?
LA Times at one point.
Okay. All right. So Ben Reiter, who wrote the cover story for Sports Illustrated, he's joining us next. Is that right, McLevin?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. He's the one who said that the Astros would win the World Series.
I just remember that Todd was excited because Al Leiter and Ben Reiter rhyme today.
And I love that if your last name is what you do for a living, it's a pretty cool
thing. He's a writer. Like David Stern. Doesn't that sound like what he does for a living, the NBA commissioner? Like his job was to be stern.
Oh, I see. So you're going to make fun of my name, the palaver.
Yeah. Yes, Paulie.
If you were Ben Reiter, would you hang him up as far as predictions or roll with this? Because he's getting as much credit in any sports writer, sportscaster has gotten for a call in recent history, maybe of all time. This reminds me when Phil Mickelson called our show in 2002 before the season and said he liked the Baltimore Ravens to win the World Series, Super Bowl before the season even started.
Well, this kind of reminds me of somebody I know who said Leicester City was the team to watch out for in the Premier League, and the same guy who said the LA Kings would win the Stanley Cup.
You called those all like 3 years in advance. That was amazing.
Seton, now you're nitpicking. I didn't say it 3 years in advance.
I know you didn't. That's why you can't compare yourself.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can't.
Those are two great calls. Even if it's the year of.
Those are two very good calls.
Oh, my
This is
God.
remarkable. This is a remarkable.
How about when I
shocking
said
call.
the Broncos Seahawks were going to play in the Super Bowl prior to the start and Seattle would beat Denver? And
Again,
what happened?
It's a great call. But now, if you can make a call today for 2020, then we'll have something.
The Cleveland Browns
Go ahead.
What year?
will still be crappy in 3 years from now. Thank you. We're going to take a break here. I think you guys need to take a moment to reconsider all the great things I've said on this show.
What year did Ben make his call?
3.5 years ago,
So that was what, 2014?
I guess.
They were 70 and 92.
Okay.
They were terrible. The year before that, they had lost 111 games. 107 games before that, 106 games before that. They were a horrible team. And then he's like, yeah, in 3 years, they're going to win the World Series. And then it happened.
He just was lucky.
Ben also took MySpace over Facebook, I heard years ago.
That's
So
true. He
whiffed
did.
on that
He
one.
put all of his money into MySpace. He said, Facebook,
Haters.
take a break. We'll be back with Ben Reiter after this.
Okay, this is just a 30-second commercial, and I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you, but please, please stay with me. In just 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. The company that has been offering you great rates and great service for 75 years, it's Geico. I've been using them for a long time myself. And anytime you need help, you can speak to one of their trained specialists 24/7. No recordings. The company, Geico. Go to geico.com today. Sorry for all the numbers, but I've been a fan and a customer of Geico for a long time. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm out.
Hey, it's Jay Moore, and it is time, finally, for America's Lakers podcast. That's right, I'm going to be hosting America's Lakers podcast. My man Aaron Larsoul, an analytical genius, he's going to bring to the table what I can't every Wednesday. America's Lakers podcast exclusively at podcastone.com, the podcastone.com app, which I highly recommend. You can rate and review this podcast on all Apple products. And guess what we're not going to do? We're not going to bathe in the gossip and the gratuitous negativity that's been swallowing Los Angeles whole lately. Who did what? Who snitched? Who said what? How about truth? How about facts? How about statistics? How about rotations? What's Luke Walton thinking? Who's underperforming? Who's overachieving? Who's rewarded? Who's coming? Who's going? And what are we going to do with all that delightful, delicious cap space? America's Lakers podcast with me, Jay Moore, and my man, my brother, Aaron Larsoul, every Wednesday, podcastone.com.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne, longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
There are a lot of people happy last night. Certainly those playing for the Astros, rooting for the Astros, and one senior writer from Sports Illustrated, Ben Reiter. 3 years and 4 months ago, the cover of Sports Illustrated was the Astros were going to win the World Series in 2017, and Ben joins us. Congrats on the prediction. How was your night, Ben?
It was short, Dan. I think I still smell like champagne and cigar smoke from the Astros clubhouse. But, when we made that prediction 3.5 years ago, we thought I had a chance, but to see it actually come through, pretty amazing.
Was there a chance it wasn't going to be on the cover, that wasn't a cover story that week?
It wasn't supposed to be the cover story whatsoever. I think what had happened was maybe the NBA Finals had run short that year. There was another contender, which was the Michelle Wee feature by Alan Shipnuck, who was actually furious that we put the worst team anyone had ever seen on the cover. He's like, I wrote this great feature on this great champion Michelle Wee, and you guys are putting literally the most horrible team in sports on the cover instead of it. He's still mad about it. I haven't talked to him today, though. I'm not sure how angry he is now.
What was the rationale for writing that?
Well, the rationale was just how terrible they were, right? We knew that their front office had intelligent guys in it. Jeff Luhnow, Sig Mejdel, former NASA engineer. These guys had great success with the St. Louis Cardinals in their scouting department. They go down there, and the team is horrendous. It's throwing up 0.0 TV ratings. Alex Trebek is mocking it in questions on Jeopardy. So kind of wanted to go down and see just what's going on here. After a few days there, they laid out their plan for me. And look, it made sense. And the plan they laid out was exactly the plan they followed over the next 3 years that ended with what you saw last night.
But this is baseball's process. We've seen the 76ers. Is this the process, with what they were tanking to get here? The Cubs did this as well. Is this what you see? Is this a trend?
I think it is a trend. They were doing it before the Sixers were doing it. They were the Sixers before the Sixers.
Yeah.
It's certainly been a trend, and now we're seeing a lot more teams follow it. You maybe look at what the Phillies are doing, the White Sox certainly, even the Padres, several teams. Here's the problem, Dan. All these teams can't do it at once successfully, right? Like when it's just the Cubs and the Astros, maybe they have 5 years in the wilderness and come through at the end. But when you have a half a dozen teams trying to do it at the same time, there can only be one champion every year, and the odds say that this rebuild is not going to take for all of them. So all of a sudden, 3, 4, 5 years of empty stadiums and losing can turn into a decade. Certainly even a higher risk strategy now in baseball than it was when the Astros tried it.
Did you get a World Series share or part of the parade or anything, Ben?
I don't think I got anything. I didn't even put $1 on this in Vegas, right? The only thing I've gotten out of this so far is some pride and respect, which is certainly good enough for me.
Can you imagine if you put like $500 on the Astros right after that cover story comes out? I don't know what I don't even know if they had. They probably were 1,000 to 1 to win the World Series. If you could have done a bet this far out projected, but now it's a long shot. But you knew that they had the nucleus. The Marlins would do this. They would win, and then they would dismantle, and then they would build it up again, and then they would dismantle. Did the Astros or did the Yankees sort of have their own process here, where they got rid of some high talent, big paydays, and then they had this great young farm system coming up?
Well, the Yankees kind of did it in a week somehow. That's the luxury of having a $200 million plus payroll. You don't have to go through these 3 or 4 horrible years, although Brian Cashman should certainly get all the credit in the world. But yeah, the Astros did it in a modern way, right? And a modern way doesn't mean just relying on analytics. This is beyond Moneyball. Everybody's got the same math now, more or less. Everybody's got the same numbers. You have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself by factoring soft information in, going back to the scouts, going back to things like character and fearlessness, those sort of things that you can't really quantify, at least in the last 2 years, certainly, seems to have been the difference maker for the Cubs and the Astros, in addition to all their advanced analytics.
All right, the 2020 World Series champion will be?
New York Yankees. I'm calling it now. It's not as bold a call.
No,
whatsoever.
It's not. No, that's not bold.
But no, it's not bold. But you look at a team that wasn't even they weren't even trying to win this year, Dan. They almost made the World Series. That's how good their talent is. And then you look at next winter's free agent class, and you have guys like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, maybe Clayton Kershaw. Yankees are going to get one of them. You look at Shohei Ohtani coming over from Japan. Good shot the Yankees are going to get him. This team is going to be loaded. Now, I actually like the Astros to repeat next year because this is not built for just a one-time shot. This is built to be sustained, and all their pieces almost are coming back. But a couple of years down the line, it would not be a surprise if we're in the middle of a Yankee dynasty, as improbable as that is in this day and age.
Ben, congrats. Get some sleep. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
That's Ben Reiter, Sports Illustrated senior writer, who predicted that the Astros would win it all in 2017. They got a lot of young talent there. The pitching is still suspect, but it was a lot better. The starting pitching was a lot better. Bullpen was still a little sketchy, but that offense can make any bullpen look a whole lot better because you don't have to go to the bullpen, in a situation where game is on the line. I mean, they score more runs than anybody in baseball. They put the ball in play. They don't strike out. Fun to watch. Really, fun to watch. Unless you're a Dodger fan. All right, your phone call's coming up. 877-3DP Show.
Hey, listeners, just wanted to take a minute to thank all our great sponsors and all of you great listeners for supporting this podcast. We certainly couldn't do it without either of you. And I wanted to remind you that you can support our sponsors by going to our show page at podcast1.com, clicking on the Support This Podcast button, and there you will see all our wonderful sponsors that help make this show possible. Thank you for downloading, subscribing, and of course, supporting. And now, back to the show.
Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
Paulie has a post-NFL trade deadline question. I'm ready.
Very simple question for everybody in the room if you want to know.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Who do you think will be in the Super Bowl now? Before the season, it was basically the New England Patriots or the field. I think that's gone.
And you fools took the Patriots.
Yeah. Well, they still have a very good chance.
Yeah, they do. I have the Steelers and the Seahawks. I stay with my Super Bowl pick.
How about the NFC? I mean,
Seattle.
Has it changed at all?
No.
Do you like the Seahawks more because of the offensive line move?
I certainly do. That was a big move getting Dwayne Brown. I like the Steelers. You know, you can survive the drama here. A holdout by Le'Veon Bell. The drama with Ben and Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant. Kind of move past that, and I still like the Steelers in the AFC. Yes, McLovin.
Are you worried about home field? I feel like whoever gets home field,
Yes.
Steelers, Pats.
Yes.
And right now they're tied.
Yes. That's important.
That's interesting.
That's very important because we've seen Ben on the road, and they're a completely different team. But, yeah, I'd still stay with Seattle and Pittsburgh. Seattle, you know, they frustrate me when I watch them because it's never an easy game, it feels like. They can eventually blow somebody out, but it always feels like they're running on sand. And it's just never smooth. You never watch a game and from the outset they're up 14-0, they cruise, everybody is playing well. There's always something, a moment on the field, off the field, on the sideline, something. Yeah, McLevin.
Are you okay with putting the Eagles at number 2 in the NFC?
Yeah, I'd put the Eagles in there. You know, Jason Peters is a big loss there. It really is. But as I said from the beginning, at the start of the season, I thought the Eagles had the best offensive and defensive lines of any team in football. And I think that that's still proving out here every Sunday. I like what I see from the Eagles. They're a very good team. Yes, Paul.
What level of likage do you have for the Saints?
I can't buy into that.
Better defense, good running game.
Well, it had to be a better defense because it was terrible at the start of the season.
Tampa's falling. Carolina's
yeah.
And Atlanta
I don't know about
5-2.
I know. I don't
They've
know about
outscored their opponents by 45 points this season.
I don't know.
5 in a row.
Oh, I'd be talking about a schedule. I'm pulled up the Saints. I mean, come on. Mitch Trubisky, Brett Hundley are the last 2 quarterbacks they beat.
Yeah. I'm not all in on the Saints. You know, they may prove me wrong.
How about the Rams at 5-2?
I like what I've seen with the Rams. I would consider them legitimate at making the playoffs. You know, the offensive line is good. They brought in 2 new starters, which was really important. I think Cooper Kupp has proven that he's a legitimate, go-to receiver. Gurley is back to what we saw his rookie year. And the defense, I love Aaron Donald. The defense is good. So what I've seen so far, I like a whole lot. Yes, I see.
I feel like the Rams have, heartbreaking playoff loss written all over them. Right? You know what? You can expect a lot from this team. They'll be back here next season, excited for the future.
Wow. Yeah, McLovin.
I'm about to say they haven't beaten anyone as well, but I have every team in the league hasn't beaten anyone. This isn't adding up. I'm having a math problem here.
A couple of phone calls here. Danny in Thailand joins us. Hi, Danny.
Hey, DP. How's it going?
Good.
Good. Hey, listen, I know romance is in the air with Korea getting engaged and everything, and also know that there's a discreet rendezvous/dinner tonight with you and Seton again. And I'm just wondering, are you guys registered anywhere, like Bed Bath & Beyond or Pottery Barn? I'd really, really like to get you something nice.
Well,
so
thank you.
Let me know if you are. And, yeah, of course. And back row, please suck it.
All right. That's Danny calling from Thailand.
Thoughtful.
We have included the rest of the Danettes for tonight's dinner. It's not just Seton and myself. You guys are always invited. It just somehow it ends up for a table for 2. But not tonight. Fritzy's even coming out.
How about that?
Yeah.
But you recently,
yeah,
you recently said that a third wheel kind of ruined their romantic just a couple of nights ago.
But you didn't
hoping it was going to just be the 2 of you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just we have a pattern, a rhythm down with our conversation.
More impressive streak ending, the Astros in the World Series or Todd coming out to dinner?
Well,
It's a valid question.
Jeff in Portland joins us. Hi, Jeff. What do you have for me?
Hey, good morning, Dan. It's Jeff here,
Hi,
6
bud.
feet 185, and thank you. I totally agree with you that was a mistake last night on the proposal. I think it reminded me of the Boise State Fiesta Bowl in 2007 when they beat Oklahoma and the kid proposed to the cheerleader. That was an epic fail, and I guarantee they are not together today.
No, they're together.
Oh, well, that's then I'm wrong. My apologies. But I still think that's a time to be single, unless you want to start a family. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, they have a child, too. What is it, Ian Johnson?
Sure. Running back. I think he's the one who had the Statue of Liberty play. They won it on.
Yeah.
Topper.
Mike in Los Angeles. Hi, Mike. How you feeling today?
How you doing, Dan?
Good, sir.
Good morning. I just wanted to make some comments on Los Angeles. Excuse me. We shouldn't be down because we didn't win the World Series. We uplifted Los Angeles, and it was a good look. And everybody came out and had a great time. And we are happy that we made it to the World Series, the Dodgers, since '88.
I don't know if everybody's going to feel the same way, though, because you're supposed to win. Sports Illustrated said you could be the greatest team of all time. They had a cover story. The expectation levels were we're going to win, not we'll be happy if we get to the World Series. You expected to win. Was it a great year? I'd be curious what Dodger fans thought about that. Did you have a great year? In my opinion, you did. You might disagree. Final hour coming up. More phone calls as well. I gave you the Vegas odds for next year's World Series. I got the Vegas odds for this year's Heisman Trophy. One of my candidates isn't even listed.
The Serial Killer Podcast, hosted by me, Thomas Warburg Thune, is the podcast dedicated to serial killers, who they were, what they did, and how. Join me as I sit down bi-weekly to bring you, dear listener, into the dark land of serial murder and psychopathy. The show goes into graphic detail on the most infamous and lesser-known serial killers from around the world, with each episode covering one unique serial killer. So far, the show has covered serial killer superstars, such as BTK, Jeffrey Dahmer, and the Yorkshire Ripper, and lesser-known killers, such as Elias Abuelazan and Anatoly Onoprienko. Be advised, this show is not for children, as it takes you deep into the twisted world of ultimate evil. You can find me exclusively at podcastone.com or on the new Podcast One app. Also, don't forget to rate and review on Apple Podcasts.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.